Hey guys, Chris here again with Busted Knuckle DIY. This is episode 2 of our drum sander build, and today we're going to take a look at building the drum. Let's get wrenching.
Oh hell, I can fix that. Honey! Can you bring me a Band-Aid, please?
Alright guys, so the first thing that you need to know is that we are building a single arm drum sander, so it's only going to lift from the one side. I forget what you call that. Anyway, so I have seen this done tons of different ways. People turn them on lathes, this and that. For my drum, I chose to do this. So this is a 16-inch long piece of aluminum, extruded aluminum tubing. It's quarter wall thick, and it's 3 inches in outer diameter. So that leaves us 3 minus 2/4, which is a half, so 2.5 inner. All right, and the reason I did this is that it is already machine flat, way more than enough for my purposes. So in the interest of time, now this particular tube did cost me $44, but that's okay. We're building a full function drum sander, as you saw the conveyor with variable speed in the last video. So, you know, those in this size normally run about $1,300. I think we're going to come out somewhere around the $300 mark. But let's go over some more of the parts that we have here. I have a 24-inch long, 3/4 inch shaft. That's going to be the main shaft for this. Stay. The correct bearings. Now these are called pillow block bearings. Now one thing that you got to watch out for, guys, is that these bearings will move in these housings, so sometimes you have to line them up and square things off. But I have a pair of those. I have a drive pulley. This is 6 inches in diameter. Subsequent wrench to tighten up the drive pulley. I took a 2 5/8 inch hole saw, which is right around a 16th thick. It's just a hair thicker than that, but it was close as I could get, and cut these circles, okay, which are going to go inside. And they were an okay fit. There was a little airspace. I put one wrap of duct tape around it just to get a really nice fit here. And then once they were a snug fit to the tube, I took them to my drill press and used a 3/4 spade bit to waller that out so that they will fit the shaft. So, in theory, we'll have something like that. The pillow block bearings don't sit quite high enough to prop them on something. But you can see where we're going to be going here. And that's going to leave us plenty of shaft sticking through to connect our pulley to over here. And now, how are we going to connect all this? Okay, so what we're going to do is to connect the 1.25 inch thick blocks to the drum. We're going to drill through the drum on a cross shape at the compass points, right? North, south, east, west. And countersink it and use 1-inch wood screws. These are number 12s, which won't make the shaft. That's why I selected 1 inch. That's, you know, so we get 3/4 of an inch, even a little more after we countersink, because we don't want it interfering with our sandpaper. And then to connect the shaft to the drum, we're going to drill 2 holes. And I have these. These are 3-inch long, 1/4 inch spring pans. So we're going to drill 1 hole straight through the whole deal, through the pulley, through the block and through the shaft, and then put this beast in there, just like that, all the way down. And it's a perfect fit for the drum. Let me see if I can, as you can see, it stands perfectly flush. So anyway, yeah, that's how we're gonna start doing that. So now that will be the last thing I do, because we have to build a housing for this and everything like that. Anyway, I'm gonna get to doing that. We're gonna build that housing out of 3/4 ply and go from there. All right, guys, back to it. And first, I'd like to thank all of you, not to remind me that using my table saw, I got this ply sitting on top of my crosscut sled, is not the safest thing in the world, but for the record, the saw is unplugged, and it's, like I said, this board is sitting on top of a crosscut sled, which moves pretty freely well clear of the blade. So, we're well protected there. But, in the interest of safety, I thought I'd point that out. So, here's what I did. We were talking about constructing the box to mount all this up. Now, I got a little ahead because it's a couple days later, and we've had hard weather, and anyway. So, what I did is I took this cheapy ply and mocked everything up, right, to the dimensions that I thought I needed, and then turned out that I had to make an adjustment or two, and that's fine. That's why we used the cheapy crap ply to do this before I went on ahead and cut my my good 3/4 Baltic birch here. So if we spin around, and I'll give you the dimensions here again. This is a 24-inch long steel shaft, 3/4 of an inch. This is a 16-inch aluminum roller, 3 inches in diameter. The walls are 1/4 thick. Again, and you can see where we countersunk all these screws so that they're not going to interfere with when we set this up with hook loop, which is what we're going to do. Again, our pillow block bearings are good to go here. So what we did is essentially, let me spin this around, and hopefully you can get a little bit better view there. Essentially, so what I did is I took 2 pieces of the 3/4 and made an 1.5 inch thick plate, the exact width of the bearing, which turned out to be right at 5 inches. So, and then drilled in through both of the bearings down with these 1/2 inch 13 carriage bolts. These are nylon self-locking, and that's going to hold fast for me for a good long time. So then I squared everything up and cut these faces. Again, we're 5 wide. We're 4 1/8 top to bottom here, going this way, and these pieces are 24 inches long. The reason the shaft sticks out a little proud, obviously, is we had to leave just a little bit of space, and there is about a 1/16 of an air gap right in there. I don't know how well you can see that. Hopefully you can. Between the end of the bearing and the block. All right, so all of this turns quite nicely. So now it's time to go ahead and drill the roller to put in our 3-inch spring pans. So we're going to take our center punch, find a spot that we like, mark it, drill it straight down. We're going to lock this out and drill straight down through the aluminum, through the wood, through the steel shaft, out the other side, and then put a spring pin through each end of it to hold this firmly to the shaft so it doesn't move. So anyway, I'm going to get to doing that, and I'll get back with you. Alright guys, so we did the spring pins here and here. Now this took me actually about 10 minutes because this thing is too big to fit on my crappy little drill press. But the spring pins are in, they're nice and level, they're not interfering with anything. You can see here they are on the other side. I just sanded it off. Now, remember, we are going to have to level the drum a little bit. It is pretty straight, but our hubs that we made here could be offset ever so slightly, as hard as I tried to keep everything nice and centered and a good snug fit. But as a rule, we don't have any like crazy wobbles going on here. But yeah, so we'll make a little dust cover to come over the top here. We can just connect it, something that we can hook our my shop back to. I don't have any big dust collection in here. And this is going to hook to this part of it here is going to hook to the riser. Anyway, guys, that's how you build the roller for a cantilever style drum sander. And I'm really happy with that. So anyway, next time we'll get to building the lifting arm for it and hopefully get it assembled. Yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed this. Now, there's lots of different ways you can go about constructing something like this. I don't have plans or detailed measurements. I'm kind of just winging it and going with gut instinct here. Again, been a distribution center mechanic for a long time, so the conveyor wasn't an issue. This is a little more difficult work for me, to be perfectly candid. I have to really sit and think my way through it. I'm sure somewhere there's a wise carpenter, Stumpy Nubs or somebody like that that would be laughing at me right now, and that's cool. I love Stumpy, so he's welcome to have a good laugh. Anyway, guys, if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button, turn on all notifications, as we got some really great content coming up, including the conclusion of our drum sander build. So I'm looking forward to that. In the description box below, I'll put links to our Facebook and our email address if you guys want to drop us a line. Till next time, this is Chris for Busted Knuckle DIY saying, keep wrenching.